From one dictator to another dictator. Hungary debuts statue in honor of Bitcoin creator Satoshi Nakamoto. Hungary becomes the first country to honor Bitcoin creator Satoshi Nakamoto with a public statue. Today, a statue of Bitcoin creator was revealed in Budapest, Hungary, in front of a large and passionate crowd. The bronze statue, located in Graphisoft Park, was sculpted by Gregory Rika and Tamas Gillay. When sculpting the statue, the pair wanted to capture the mantra of "We are all Satoshi," making Satoshi's face reflective, so that when you look at the statue, you remind yourself that you play just as an important role in Bitcoin and Satoshi as everyone else does. This is also because the gender, height, weight, and age of Satoshi Nakamoto are unknown, making it impossible to sculpt a descriptive face of the creator of Bitcoin. Meanwhile, in Hungary, democracy has died. There's been a takeover by the dictator. There's a new kind of authoritarianism, and even the EU is checking it out, saying that Hungary's democracy crisis demands a European response. More trouble for Hungary, but at the same time, a very nice statue. Thomas Hunt, your thoughts on Hungary and their very nice statue? Well, obviously, it's an incredible statue, and I like that part about the reflective face. We are all Satoshi. What a nice message. I've been to Budapest. It's a beautiful city. I've been there a couple of times, actually, pretty amazing. But yes, it's very unfortunate what's happened to Hungary's government. The authoritarian Orban has risen just as Trump is attempting and still attempting to rise in the United States on the idea of fear of foreigners. They have refugees in Hungary. People worry about the refugees taking too much and not giving back to society. This fear is amplified by a dictator who goes out there and makes speeches and fires them up. And sadly, I fear that's what's happened to Hungary. I hope they can change directions. It's a beautiful, wonderful country with a horrifyingly sad history, especially if you go to the Terror Museum in Budapest and really understand that this country, right in between Nazi Germany and Soviet Europe, was conquered by both, like one after the other. So they've had all this authoritarianism. It's sad to see them having it creeping again, but very nice statue. I remember when Mad Bitcoins used to report on small issues like this all the time. We'd be, some little shop somewhere accepts Bitcoin. We'd be like, it's amazing they take Bitcoin. And now we have statues in the public square. Even though it's Hungary, which is an awesome place, unfortunate government, but great job. Cool statue. Dan, Eve, your thoughts on Hungary's just miraculous mirror-clad statue?
Well, it's it's cool that they've obviously created a kind of statue. But I always, I always remember that saying, "Don't worship Eric Idol, or false idols. Don't worship false idols." What is interesting though, it's the I was hoping for it to be. I like the fact that it's kind of, it's a bland human, as it were. Generic human, but I was I must admit there was a small part of me that was hoping it was Dorian Nakamoto and his like really confused shoulder shrug face, like that would have been really cool, right? But I mean, they did say about the fact that because we don't know Satoshi's gender, but I mean, technically, he did declare it as male on a forum, so whether we take that as whether maybe he wasn't clever enough to identify himself, so we had to re-identify him as and I say him because it kind of did say on the profile he created it was a him, but we won't go down there. I did the going on the Elizabeth Warren's shadowy faceless group of super coders, quote unquote. That's kind of, I think that's very admirable, because really she could have said like a shadowy faceless group of shit coders, so at least they're super coders, Bitcoiners. So that's the main thing. I'm taking that as a positive. Hungary, I mean, obviously, I think it kind of stands on whichever political side of the fence you're on as to whether it's a crazy dictatorship or not. But and Vox, they're maybe perhaps a bit one-sided. But we were on a stag do there and once, and my one of my mates, he got with a lady and decided in a club in the cool, I think it was the cool club of like 20 odd rooms. It was either that one or it was on the one on the roof of the spa. Anyway, so decided to take her on a date. Where else but like the War Museum? And so building up all this time to make his move, and they were going around. He said there was just really sad. There were really sad parts of the museum, obviously, because it's a war museum. And there was one bit that was actually quite like, it was the shoes, and it was really sad the way he described it, like the shoes at the riverside, and they're all empty. That was the point he tried to make his move. What an idiot! Yeah, it didn't go down well. Don't make it move, because apparently she was crying. I was like, step one, don't make a move when she's crying. so yeah, if you're ever going to the museum, don't try and make out of a date with the empty shoes next to the river, because it's both disrespectful and unsuccessful, likely to be unsuccessful. But yeah, so good on Hungary for creating the two people that create a statue. I think it's cool. It's another thing where Bitcoin is in your face, right? People will see it, they'll walk past the statue, they'll be intrigued by it, and they'll do a bit of research. And once you do a bit of research, you go down the rabbit hole, and here we are.
A very sad museum trip indeed. Exit question: what do you think about the hoodie, Dan? The statue seems to be wearing a powerful hoodie.
It was I think it's like I suppose a hoodie is kind of a symbol of it's seen sometimes negatively. I know that, like, in the stores around Southampton, like where I live, that there was a time back in the day when people like had signs in the shop saying like no hoodie wearers. You literally couldn't wear a hoodie in a shop, especially the sort of smaller shops where they didn't have security measures or they didn't have the cameras and stuff like that. But I think it is kind of symbolic, isn't it? Because with a hoodie, it's just easy to kind of to just put the zip up and be what's the word, pseudonymous, right? You end up being you just like, not zip, sorry, do the cord up that, and you can just see through a little eye hole, and then suddenly you've shaded your identity. So yeah, I think it's kind of synonymous, isn't it, with Bitcoin and being pseudonymous and anonymousness.
I agree, Dan. It's interesting how the hoodies become an international symbol of anonymity, where, yes, if you have the hoodie down, you're walking around like normal, but if it's nighttime, it's cold, it's bad neighborhood, you don't want anyone to bother you, you put that hoodie up, and it's almost like you're a knight, and you put on your armor with a little face guard and the little thing, you can only see your eyes out. Maybe it's a bit like the Islamic burqa as well, covering up the wearer almost completely to the eyes. But very clearly a symbol of anonymity, a symbol of genericness. Anyone can be Satoshi, anyone can be the guy in the hoodie, anyone can be in the hijab or another similar covering where so much of your identity is covered by the outfit that you wear. So I think it was a good choice. It kind of felt like an American choice to me, like the hoodie, but I guess it's become such an international symbol that it works in Hungary too.